What if I told you that 9 out of 10 people who lose a significant amount of weight will regain that weight within 3 years? Because here's the truth. In society, we don't have a fat loss problem. We have a keeping it off problem. So in this video, I'm gonna break down the 6 main reasons why most men regain the weight, and I'll tell you exactly how to fix them. That way you can beat the odds and keep the fat off for life. Let's jump right into it. The number one reason why most men will regain the weight is because they had an unsustainable diet. Now, who here has ever done something like keto, carnivore diet, maybe intermittent fasting, you cut out sugars, cut out alcohol, you name it. How many of you tried a diet that, you did pretty good on for the first few weeks or maybe even the first few months, but then you couldn't sustain it and you gained the weight all back and you lost motivation? Probably most of us, right? But here's the thing about fat loss, guys. It doesn't have to be restrictive. Like, I'm doing a dry February myself coming up for health reasons to give the liver a bit of a break from the whiskey and, watching football. But that's different than actually doing it because I'm giving up alcohol to lose fat. It's more like a mental health challenge. When it comes to fat loss, you have to find an eating system that is perfect for you. And what we really coach is 2 main systems, which I'll very quickly break down right now. The first thing is called our Weekend Warrior, and it's basically what I do. So basically, I lower the calories Monday through Friday. That way I can have a little more room and wiggle room on the weekend to have some of those foods that I enjoy, like pizza and whiskey. Now, Eat Like a King, this is what my brother Sean does. He's more like having bigger meals that have very low calories in them. So it's a lot of food quantity, but the calories are still relatively low. Now, if you want to know which works best for you, and we'll basically send you an exact free template, fill the quiz below. I'll get back to you and I'll hook you up and I'll tell you exactly what will work best for your lifestyle. That way you never have to go on an unsustainable diet ever again. The second reason why most men regain the weight is because they have low protein. Now, it's the year 2026, so I'm sure a lot of you guys have heard of Ozempic before, right? And if you haven't, or maybe you've heard about it, but you don't know what it mainly does, essentially it's a drug to kind of help control your appetite. Awesome, right? That's good to keep the calories down. But what it doesn't do, it doesn't really emphasize, obviously, how much protein you should be having a day. So a lot of times, like, we're taking this Ozempic, we're losing a lot of weight because we're lowering the calories, but the end result, we either have like a skinny fat kind of look because we don't have any muscle left because we lost so much weight, and or we just kind of lose a bunch of weight, our metabolism slows down, and then we regain it, which is the purpose of this video, a couple years down the line. So for protein, guys, it's so important to really emphasize this, because if you don't emphasize protein, you're going to lose your muscle mass. So you might be thinking, that sounds great, but how much protein should I be having per day? You want to be aiming roughly for about 0.8 grams of protein per pound in body weight. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds times 200 by 0.8, you would aim for basically 160 grams per day. Now, that seems like it's pretty obnoxious. You can build up to it, of course, because most guys really struggle getting their protein in. But the point being, guys, if you want to lose your fat and keep it off for life, you have to prioritize your muscle. And to prioritize your muscle, you got to make sure your protein is sufficient enough. The third reason why most guys regain the weight is because there's not enough emphasis on weight training. Now, weight training goes hand in hand with protein. So I'm not going to repeat the same points, right? Like, obviously, if you don't lift weights, you're going to have lower muscle mass, slower metabolism, skinny fat look, et cetera, et cetera. We already talked about that. But I want you to think of cardio and weight training kind of like this. Cardio is like kind of chasing Bitcoin. It's that new shiny object syndrome. And if you do it right away, you'll probably get a short-term results, at least Bitcoin at the very beginning. Now, weight training is like investing in real estate. You might not see the immediate payoff within the first, month or two. You still will for sure, don't be wrong. But what really pays dividends is years down the road, because you built that solid foundation. Just like real estate, right? Like, you're not going to get rich, obviously, the first year you buy it, but 5, 10, 15, 20 years later, that's how you make a good amount of money. So cardio is kind of like Bitcoin, and weight training is like investing in real estate. Calories, yes, will burn on average more calories per session, but that number really doesn't matter. And I'll link a video at the very end. I'll tell you why that doesn't matter. And weight training is investing in that muscle mass. If you guys can invest that muscle mass, that's how you lose, and that's how you keep the fat off for life, and that's how you have that good chisel tone look without looking skinny fat or without slowing down your metabolism. The fourth reason why most guys regain all their weight is they try to do too many things all at once. Now, a lot of guys are guilty of this, right? Like, let's say we want to lose our fat. We go basically 0 to 100. We do good for a little bit, kind of like the diet, right? But then we just can't sustain these things, and then it leads to burnouts. And the next thing you know, we're completely off track and we've gained all our weight back. Because if you went from basically doing nothing at all in the fitness, nutrition, and health to all of a sudden doing like 4 to 5 workouts per week, you're tracking your calories, you're doing 10,000 steps per day, you have a shitload of protein, you're doing all these good changes that you should be doing, eventually at least. It's good for a little bit, but then you just can't sustain it. And like I said, it leads to burnout. So here's what you want to do, and here's what you need to do to sustain this long term. You got to do something in terms of starting slow. So let's say instead of doing like 5 workouts per week, maybe just do about 3 to 4 to start. Maybe instead of like counting every single meal, maybe count like 1 meal a day. Maybe instead of having like 200 grams of protein a day, slowly build up to it, like I said in the previous points. The point being, guys, try to get those small wins and then, build off those small wins as the weeks and the months and hopefully even the years accumulate. Because if you try to do every single thing all at once, again, you're probably going to get a short-term result, but then you're not going to sustain it and the weight's going to come back on because then you've fallen back into your old habits. The 5th reason why most guys regain their weight is because they don't set new consistent goals. Now, tell me if you're guilty of this. Let's say you do like a 3-month goal. You lost like 20, 25, 30 pounds. You're feeling great. You're fired up. Like you're ready to celebrate. But the next thing you know, like a few months later, or maybe a year later, you're completely off track and you've gained that weight again and you're wondering kind of where it went wrong. The biggest mistake guys make, or one of the biggest mistakes, is once our first initial goal is done, we don't set new consistent goals. And then we lose motivation because we have nothing to work towards, essentially. So let's say you have like 30 pounds to lose and you lost the 30 pounds. Now you actually have to set a new goal you're trying to achieve for the next 3 months. It could not even be like body composition. Maybe it's like, like I want to get my first chin up, or I want to maintain my weight and add 50 pounds to my deadlift. Whatever it is, guys, have a goal and always have those goals and quantify the best you can. Because if you're just kind of going off of motivation, once you achieve, that initial goal, more often than not, we're going to drop off. We're going to lose motivation, which I'm going to talk about next, spoiler alerts. And then next thing you know, you're off track. So always set new consistent goals, guys, to make sure you don't go down a bad road. The 6th reason why most guys will regain their weight is they simply lose motivation. You might be thinking I'm losing motivation. Like, what is the reason? Like, why can't I stay motivated? Well, definitely some of the reasons I talked about before in the video, but there's one big one that I want to address here, and I've talked about it many times on my channel before. The reason why you can't stay motivated is you simply just don't have a deep enough reason why you're trying to achieve your goal. Let me paint you a scenario, and I want you to think of the answer here. Who do you think has a better chance of, let's say, losing 25 pounds? The person who says, I want to lose 25 pounds so I can look and feel better. Or the other person who says, I gotta lose 25 pounds because I gotta reverse my pre-diabetes and I don't want to crash out because I want to have the energy to play with my kids. Probably the latter, right? Like, do you see how that guy has a very deep and specific reason why he's trying to lose 25 pounds? I hear it all the time. Like when people say to me, Rich, I want to lose, let's say 20, 25 pounds. I'll ask him why. And I want to look better. Why do you want to look better? Because I want to feel better. And I'll keep asking the question, why? And then we eventually get to that deep reason. And then I'll always tell that person, write that deep reason down. Because there's going to be times when you're going to be unmotivated. Like right now where I'm living in Canada, it's like minus 17 and it's supposed to be minus 35 with the wind chill pretty soon. Not very motivating to go for walks and, get your ass to go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, right? But if you have that deep reason why you're trying to achieve that goal, you're always going to stay on track and you're not going to fluctuate with your weight because you have that deep reason. Now, losing fat, guys, isn't all rainbows. And I'm going to link a video right here that shows you the dark side of losing fat. So watch it. It's interesting. And I give you a real perspective on that. Thanks for watching, guys. Please hit that like, subscribe, and we'll see you in that video right there.